All right, so we already got those first couple columns out of the way. Let's go on to our last three columns that we're going to be dealing with. The next one I want to show us is this one that's called marginal revenue. So just in the same way that marginal cost was the additional cost per pizza, marginal revenue is the additional revenue for each additional pizza. It's our change in our total revenue from selling one more. Now, guys, I want you to see this. Like, this is actually way, way more of a simple idea than I think economics makes it out to be. Our marginal revenue is just saying, how much more money do you get for selling each additional pizza? So really all that's saying is it's the selling price, right? Like, because however much you sell a pizza for is how much money you're getting for each additional pizza you sell, right? It's kind of just a complicated way to explain it, but that's really what it's saying. I'll always give you this information too. We're going to say that we sell each one of our pizzas for $13, okay? So our marginal revenue, no matter how many pizzas we make, is going to be $13. I'm selling my pizzas for $13 no matter how many of them I make. Now, I could change that price over time, but we're going to keep it constant for simplicity's sake. But then this gets us into this very important idea of total revenue. Total revenue is the selling price times the total amount of pizzas we make. So total revenue is just the total amount of money that's going into our cash register, right? So if I sell 0 pizzas for $13 a piece, how much money am I making? Well, I'm not making any money, right? But let's go on to where we actually can do the math here. Whenever I have one worker, my total product or the total number of pizzas I make is 4. If I make 4 pizzas and sell each one of those pizzas for $13, how much money do I put into my cash register at the end of the day? How much goes in there? Well, 4 times 13 is $52. $52 is the total amount of money I made from selling pizzas that day. As we go on to the next one, when we hire 2 workers, we have 10 pizzas that we made because our total product is 10 times $13 per pizza. 10 pizzas at $13 a piece is $130. Then we go on to the next one. 13 pizzas times $13 is $169. 15 pizzas at $13 a piece, we make $195. 16 pizzas times $13 a piece is $208. Now we can look at our total revenue and we can see that it's increasing as we go because we're making more and more pizza. And if we were to go based on this and I was to say, okay, how many pizzas should we make? Or how many, really what I should say is, how many workers should we hire to make our pizzas? A lot of you would be tempted maybe to say, ooh, we should hire 5 workers because at 5 workers, we make the most money. And you'd be right. We do make the most money. However, one thing we haven't taken into consideration yet, we haven't considered that, yeah, we made $208 off of pizza, but how much did it cost us? Because that's the last column we're going to look at is this idea of profit. Profit is the total amount of money we make after we pay for all those factors of production. It's the total amount of money that we make and get to go home with after paying our bills. And the way we find this is taking our revenue minus our total cost. So let's start off with 0 workers. If we have 0 workers, we said we made no money because we didn't sell any pizzas, but we still had to pay for the rent. Even though I didn't hire any workers, I still had to pay the rent. 0 minus 25, we see that our profit is actually negative $25. We're losing money, right? So if we don't hire any workers, we lose money, which I think should make sense to us. But if we don't hire any workers, we're not making any pizzas, we lose money. Now, how about whenever we hire 1 worker, right? So we made 4 pizzas, we made $52, but we had $50 in costs, right? $25 for rent, $25 for our worker. So we made $52, but then we had to pay 50 of it to pay the bills. That means our profit, the money that we had left over that we got to go home with, was only $2. Now we can keep going through all this. We can do, on the next one, we do $130 in revenue minus $75 in total cost. That leaves us with our profit of $55. Then when we hire 3 workers instead, we would have total revenues of $169 minus $100 in total cost. That's $69 in profit. When we hire 4 workers, we have $195 in revenue minus $125 in total cost. That's $70. And then finally, that last one is $58. Now, I might ask you, how many workers should we hire now? And what you would do is you would look here at the profit. And a lot of you guys would look at this and you'd say, oh yeah, now I can see that we would want to hire 4 workers because at 4 workers, our profit is the highest. And you would be right. However, I want to warn you. If you put that on a test that we would hire 4 workers because our profit is the highest, I would have to mark you wrong. And the reason is we need to understand, why is that the best point at which we should produce? Why is that our profit maximizing point? We already said that $70 is clearly where we make the most amount of money. But we've got to go back to this idea that we learned about back in 3.1. And then even way back in Unit 1, we talked about this same concept. We produce here because this is the point where our marginal revenue is as close as we can to being equal to our marginal cost. Right? We talked about in 3.1 that firms maximize their profit where marginal revenue equals marginal cost because they've squeezed out all the profit they can. If you notice, when we're at 4 workers, our marginal cost is $12.50, our marginal revenue is $13. Here's what that means. It means that each additional pizza we make, it costs us $12.50 to make it, but we sell it for $13. So technically, off of each pizza, we make 50 cents of profit. But what happens when we go past that point? Once we get to the point where our marginal cost is greater than our marginal revenue, right? Like we're right here, this point right here, that's the good point. But when we go past that, if you notice when we hire that 5th worker, that next pizza cost us $25 to make it, but we only received $13 for selling it. Is that a smart decision? No, not at all. We would actually lose $12 on that pizza, and you can see that because our profit goes down by $12. So remember, we said once we get to that point where our marginal cost is greater than our marginal revenue, we're going to start losing money. So we need to stop when we get as close as we can to those two things being equal. And that's how you get that question right on a test. You say that we would hire 4 workers, but we hire 4 workers because we get our marginal revenue as close as we can to our marginal cost without going over.